Good afternoon, friends. We are meeting today in an endowment lecture in the name of late Professor Satyendranath Sen, a noted economist, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Calcutta, and also former President of the Asiatic Society between 1957 to 1959. Since 1995, the Society has instituted this prestigious endowment lectureship, and it is held annually. And it started in 1995 itself with Professor Mukul Majumdar and followed by a number of distinguished recipients of this lectureship, such as Professor Mihir Rakshit, Mr. C.R. Irani, Professor Pranab Kumar Bardhan, Professor Santosh Bhattacharya, Professor Bimal Jalan, Professor Utsha Patnaik, Professor Amiyo Kumar Bagchi, Dr. Joseph Stiglitz, Dr. Mantek Singh Aluwalia, Professor Prabhat Patnaik, Professor Jayati Ghosh, Professor Sabyasachi Basu Rai Chaudhuri, Sri Chandrasekhar Ghosh of Bandhan Bank, Professor Pratap Bhanu Mehta, and this year this lectureship has been awarded to another noted economist of our country, Professor Ashim Dasgupta, who did his MA from Calcutta University and PhD from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, USA, with a Woodrow Wilson Fellowship in 1975. He has to his credit a number of important books and publications. I only name one: Income Distribution, Market Imperfections, and Capital Accumulations in a Developing Economy. And as you know, he is also known as a long serving finance minister of the government of West Bengal between 1987 to 2011. Today, we are here to hear his endowment lecture, and with this brief introduction, I will request Professor Dasgupta to please deliver his lecture. Professor Ashim Dasgupta, please.
I am thankful, indeed thankful, to the Asiatic Society for inviting me to present Dr. Satyendranath Sen Memorial Lecture this year. The chosen theme would be an alternative path to resolve the current problems of economic slowdown and also the corona pandemic situation. Before I start the lecture, it will be only appropriate to mention that Dr. Satyendranath Sen has been a leading authority in the sphere of monetary economics. But then he was not an aloof scholar. He was a very lucid and affectionate teacher. I was fortunate to be his student and for a brief period also his colleague in the Department of Economics, Calcutta University. So at the outset, it is my pleasant duty to pay regards to the memory of Dr. Satyendranath Sen. I once again appreciate the effort of the Asiatic Society to organize this lecture. As I have just mentioned, that the theme of the lecture is how to resolve the current economic slowdown and corona affliction problems before the common people in the country. What we intend doing is, to begin with, we will make a brief analysis of both the problems. But then an analysis is not enough. People would like to know what would be the solution. Is there any solution? What would that be? So I will, in the course of my presentation, suggest also a solution. This solution will be an alternative to the one followed by the government of India, and for reasons which will be made clear as you go along. We carefully note in the beginning that the problem of economic slowdown had started even before the arrival of corona pandemic. It started because of a policy of liberalization which has been followed by the government of India in the interest of the richest sections. It has been also a policy to leave everything primarily to forces of market and to ignore the welfare role of the society, welfare role of the state, of the government, in the interest of the common people. For example, following this policy, few years back, about 6 years back to be specific, the central government suddenly decided to adopt a policy of demonetization, but without any adequate preparation. As a result, there was a concrete problem of liquidity, of non-availability of adequate number of notes of certain denominations. And this had a negative impact on not only production in agriculture, but also in industry and also in the trading sphere. And this had affected the overall total production of the economy, that is a gross domestic product. We know that the Central Statistical Organization, Central Statistical Office of the Government of India, periodically publishes the data on gross domestic product, that is the production in every sector, agriculture, industry, and also services. For each quarter, these data are available. Now, if we just look into the data of the last year, 2019-20, we find that even before the arrival of corona pandemic, there was a fall in the growth of GDP in each of the 4 quarters. And in the last quarter, the fall was to the tune of 5%, which is steeper than any fall over the last 6 years. Because of this fall in production in every sphere, there was also a decline in employment generation and consequently in the income generation of common people. And because of that, the purchasing power of people also declined. That is, the effective demand in the market also fell. It is this fall in the purchasing power of the people and therefore the demand of the people which has been identified, and correctly so, in the analysis of Reserve Bank of India, its report in 2019-20. Now, confronted with this situation, what has been the policy then of Government of India? The Government of India chose to ignore this problem of deficient demand. And strangely enough, is that in this period they also decided to reduce the corporate income tax for the very rich industrialists with an illusion, with a fond illusion that that would bring in additional supply, additional production. But additional supply or production depends on the fact whether there is enough of demand in the market. Who will purchase those things? Because of the demand deficiency, this looking only into the supply side, so to the neglect of the demand side, the Government of India chose the policy in the wrong direction to boost up further the supply at the cost of the demand. So the gap between supply and demand got widened, and the problem of slowdown of economic activity didn't get solved. All this had happened before the arrival of corona pandemic. But towards the end of 2019-20, February 2020, that the spread of corona pandemic started. And it got spread very speedily, like wildfire. And we have now reached a situation where the number of corona affected people in the country has crossed even 1 crore. And our position, not a very enviable position in that, our position is the second highest in terms of corona affliction in the entire world. The first position is occupied by the United States with about 2.2 crore of people affected. In this situation, what was the policy adopted by the central government? The central government then took this policy that until anti-corona vaccines are arrived, have reached and distributed among the people, the main focus, the main emphasis would be on the preventive side. That is by making people follow the distance criterion, wearing the mask, and following certain health habits, and then they also introduce periodic lockdowns in the entire country. That is, for a certain spell of time, all factories, all small scale units, all trading activities got stopped. When that stopped, that means income and employment of people in those sectors also stopped. Particularly affected was the unorganized sector, where nearly 3/4 of our population, working population, are involved. And their livelihood got threatened, which meant that there was a further reduction, a fall not only in production but also of employment generation and income. let us refer back to the source, Government of India's source, published source of Central Statistical Office, this or CSO. The estimate made by CSO for the current fiscal year 2020-21, there are about 2 months to go, is that for the country as a whole, the rate of growth of GDP would be negative, minus 7.7%. So that will be the degree of contraction in the economy. There will be fall in the production and employment generation all across the sectors. And it is also apprehended that the figure of unemployed may reach at least 14 crore of people. This is a very serious problem. What is to be done then? The Government of India, as I just mentioned, is still following the policy of liberalization by not adequately taking up the issue of the purchasing power of the people. Not only there has been a neglect of that, but moreover there are additional steps taken by Government of India which would make the economic situation of the common people even worse. For instance, legislations have been brought in Parliament and not adequate discussions taken place to amend the labor legislations again, which would adversely affect the interest of the workers by making workers work for harder and more hours and in harder conditions. Then there is again announcement of selling of further shares of public undertakings, even when they're making profit and even when they're in extremely sensitive sectors like defense. For instance, in our own state, the gun and shell factory in Ichapur is being threatened, which produces equipments for the defense sector. And before that, even the Bengal chemical factory, which was making profit, was also threatened to be sold by Government of India. Not only this very questionable sale of the public undertakings, but there were other steps recently taken with amendatory legislations in the Parliament without any discussion in the sphere of agriculture. These legislations have allowed the corporate sector, top corporate sector, to intrude into agriculture, to the trading sphere of agriculture, and making agriculturists prey to their monopolistic profit making. There have also been amendments to the Essential Commodities Supply Act, which would again adversely affect not only the interests of the farmers but also of the common consumers. Now, it is against these legislations, particularly in agricultural sector, we find that all over the country, the farmers are up in arms with protest, which has never taken place before. And this protest is going on for about a month. The farmers have come out on the road braving cold weather, and mothers and sisters of the farmers have also come out in the road. Latest figure shows the total number of deaths of the poor farmers while participating in this association has now crossed 130. Uh, the country has never seen a protest by the farmers in this scale for the country as a whole before. We hear that government of India is now being forced to rethink, but the result is not very sure as a whole. But let us look into the fact that the meaning of all these moves, whether it is amending labor legislations or this intrusion into agriculture or this overselling of public undertakings, the implication is that the economic power, the purchasing power of the common people would be lowered even more. In other words, because of these steps taken by Government of India, we will be moving away from the desired solution. A solution which demands increase in the demand, and therefore increase and improvement in the purchasing power of the people. Opposite is taking place. It is in this situation that we modestly suggest an alternative approach, an alternative feasible approach. The emphasis in our approach would be to increase the purchasing power of the common people, and in a feasible way. I'm mentioning for this lecture only two critical steps. First, if rupees 7,500 per month per family is given to every family in the bottom 80% of the population by directly putting this money into their bank account, that would be a feasible step, because what is the total amount of money required of central budget? The money required would be about 9.35 lakh crore. And the second step is to subsidize this anti corona vaccines in a big way. If we want to really go for the universal coverage, according to an estimate of Government of India, an additional amount of 80,000 crore would be required. So if we add just these two sums, then the total sum would be 10.15 lakh crore of rupees, which is additionally required of the central budget. How big is the amount? It is only about 3% of the total union budget. How would that money be derived? Where would that money come from? My suggestion is that we go for a modest deficit financing for this purpose. Question: wouldn't that bring in inflation? My answer is no. Because if we bring in this 10.15 lakh crore of additional money, this would increase the purchasing power of the people. This will increase the demand, which was missing so long. And when the situation is one of demand deficiency, a situation where demand is falling short of supply, if this additional demand is injected in the system, it will make a better balance between the demand and the supply. And there would not be any demand-supply mismatch. there would not be necessarily any inflation for this, and this is indeed possible. What is required, therefore, is a social view of the entire thing and have a discussion across the country and go in for it. If we do that, uh, not only a sustainable growth process can be initiated, but it should be supported by other measures also. In the sphere of corona endemic situation, uh, along with this provisioning for anti-corona uh, vaccination, the other steps in the preventive sphere, like maintaining of distances, distance norms, or maintaining other hygienic habits, uh, these will have to be sustained, simultaneously maintained by involving the doctors and paramedical staff in each state, in rural areas all the way down to the block level and even below up to level of sub-centers, and in the urban areas in each ward of municipalities. And that is to be noted that this 8,000 crore requirement for vaccination, for subsidized vaccination, is required only for 1 year. Then from the next year, this fund would be additionally available. And that should be given to each state for strengthening their health structure. So on the whole, what I said, that it is a feasible program to solve the problem of both economic slowdown and corona pandemic. Also to be noted is that this is a process which would benefit the vast majority of common people in a massive way. Not only in terms of their getting additional money for the purchasing power increment, purchasing economic power increment, but they would become, the common people will become also the soldiers in fight against the corona itself. So, and they have to be, there will be necessary to involve the common people because they are the gainers. It should be important to involve them in a big way in this entire process. Um, so this is an organized involvement of people which is required. It's also required because if there is any vested interest in the way, that can only be overcome by the organized struggle of the common people. Before I close, I would just like to mention that what we outlined is just a welfare role, an enhanced welfare role of the government in the interest of the poorer sections of the population. It reminds me of the fact that it is this welfare role of the government which was highlighted in a comprehensive manner by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in his address as the president of the session of Haripura Congress in 1938. We are making this presentation on 21st of January. Day after tomorrow would be 23rd. 23rd would be 125th birthday of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So when we celebrate that day, we like to keep this also in mind. So I think this is also appropriate a place to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dasgupta, for your very brilliant lecture and very illuminating discourse. We would like to publish it in due course. With this, I take this opportunity to thank you profusely on behalf of the Asiatic Society. Thank you very, very much.